Hello, good evening. This is UTV Live.
Tonight at 6, a triple tragedy. The siblings of Laura Hoy Henry, who lost her life along with two others on the road at the weekend, speak about their devastating loss.
She was our baby sister, and how do you bury your baby sister?
Also ahead, the 999 call made by the man accused of the murder of Natalie McNally has been heard at the trial into her killing.
And a teenager has had his nose broken in an alleged sectarian attack in Londonderry.
Plus the rest of the day's news and weather, including
Ireland blew England away here at Twickenham. I have all the reaction from their record win.
How do you bury your baby sister? The words of a devastated sibling after a horror crash in County Armagh claimed the life of young mother Laura Hoy Henry and two others, also fathers. Now confirmed, all three victims were in the same car.
Laura's siblings said the enormity of their loss will only really hit when the 23-year-old's body returns home. They've been talking exclusively to our correspondent Sharon O'Neill.
She was our baby sister, and how do you bury your baby sister?
Their grief is too much to bear, and there are more difficult days and months to come.
There was no goodbyes, or she's just gone. And how else are you supposed to feel, or it's just numb?
Laura Hoy Henry, who was 23, 31-year-old Conor Quinn and John Guy, who was 48, lost their lives in the blink of an eye. In a three-car smash near Moy in County Armagh on Saturday night. 4 others were injured, 3 were taken to hospital. All the victims died at the scene. All parents, children left without their mother and fathers.
Just didn't believe it was going to be Laura, but...
And when you found out it was?
I don't even know. I just screamed. Just squealed.
Nolene was only talking to her younger sister a few hours before.
It was through Snapchat, and it was saved to him, so I'll always hear her voice again. But knowing that it's never going to be in person again is heartbreaking.
Laura's daughter, just 4 years old, her sisters and her brother will keep her memory alive.
All we can do is
We'll always continue
share
to talk about her.
the good times, and she loves her mummy, and she knows her mummy loves her, and that's all we can do is show her how loved she still is.
As for the cause of this crash, the investigation is ongoing.
The heartache that we're feeling right now, you would never want another family to have to go through that ever again. And it's the unknown. It's the worst feeling ever,
Do you want to know what happened?
I don't know.
Well.
I don't know if I do.
I do. You need to know. For me, how do you ever process anything without knowing, and you're going to torture yourself for the rest of your life?
Sharon O'Neill, UTV Live, County Armagh.
A jury has been told that the murder of Natalie McNally in 2022 was planned, calculated and premeditated. Stephen McCullough, a former partner, denies murdering the 32-year-old.
Today, as the prosecution opened its case, a 999 call made by McCullough was played in court, something the prosecution claimed was all act as part of a plan to get away with murder. Sarah O'Kane reports.
Natalie McNally was found dead with serious and multiple stab wounds in her Lurgan home in December 2022. Her former boyfriend and the father of her unborn child, Stephen McCullough, is accused of her murder, something he denies. Today, the 999 call made by Mr McCullough on Monday the 19th of December was played in court. The prosecution claim it was all an act.
The 999 call lasted around 10 minutes and it was difficult to make out at times. Stephen McCullough was sobbing and screaming, and at one point you could hear him say, "There's blood everywhere." As he was being guided in how to give Natalie McNally CPR, he was asked, "Is she cold? Is she pregnant?" He said, "Yes, 15 weeks. We were getting a scan tomorrow." All of this was played out in court as Natalie's parents and family sat in the public gallery and listened.
The court heard the 32-year-old died from compression to her neck. She also suffered 3 stab wounds to the neck and blunt force trauma, 5 heavy blows to the head. It's believed she was murdered on Sunday the 18th of December. As the prosecution opened their case today, the jury of 6 men and 6 women heard how Stephen McCullough told police he called round on the Monday after becoming worried about Natalie because he hadn't heard from her since 1 o'clock that Sunday, and that he'd been live streaming on YouTube, something the prosecution said was a cover story for murder, and he was peddling a false alibi so he could get away with it. The court heard during an interview with police in February 2023, in a prepared statement, the 36-year-old of Woodland Gardens in Lisburn admitted he had recorded himself playing video games earlier that week to broadcast on the Sunday, and he actually had been asleep most of the evening after drinking alcohol.
The jury was told what happened to Natalie McNally was a planned, calculated and premeditated murder. We heard how she died from serious and multiple stab wounds, and Stephen McCullough hoped it was something he would get away with.
Police body cam footage of Stephen McCullough speaking with an officer at the scene was also played in court. He could be heard blaming an ex-partner, saying he was abusive and controlling. And when asked why he thought she'd been harmed, he said because it looked like someone had knocked 10 bells out of her. Sarah O'Kane, UTV Live, Belfast.
A DUP councillor has said that a teenage boy who was injured in an assault in Londonderry was targeted because he's a Protestant.
The 16-year-old's nose was broken in the city centre attack, which the police are investigating as a sectarian motivated hate crime. Our North West correspondent Gareth Wilkinson reports.
In the early hours of Sunday morning, a group of friends walked over Derry's Peace Bridge. The teenage boys had been celebrating at an 18th birthday party and crossed from the waterside to get something to eat in the city side. When the young men reached the city centre, they were confronted by a large crowd here in Shipquay Place. Sectarian insults were shouted. The teenagers ran off, but the gang caught up with a 16-year-old and he was assaulted. He sustained facial injuries and his nose was broken. The DUP's Nairi McMorris is the city's deputy mayor. In the aftermath of the attack, she spoke to the victim's mum.
The assault on this young lad was despicable. The facial injuries this young lad has will stay with him for a long, long time. But the emotional injuries that's inflicted on this young boy will probably stay with him a lifetime.
And this young man says he has no doubt that he was attacked because he's a Protestant, attacked purely because of his religion.
It was totally because of his religion. For anybody to be attacked in this day and age solely because of their religion is disgusting.
It's just the latest in a number of sectarian incidents in the city over the last year. Some attacks have even been filmed and posted on social media.
It's extremely depressing that here we are in 2026 and people are still being attacked on the basis of their religion. That's why I think there's a real emphasis on the need for political leadership. We need to be bringing people together rather than driving them apart.
Police are investigating a sectarian motive for the attack on the teenage boy, which is described as a hate crime. An appeal has been made for witnesses to come forward. Gareth Wilkinson, UTV Live, Derry.
A man in his 70s has died following a fire at a house in the waterside area of Derry. Emergency services were called to the scene of the blaze at the property on Limavady Road at lunchtime yesterday. The police are not treating the fire as suspicious.
A Lurgan woman has appeared in court charged with the attempted murder of a man who was stabbed. She's Carla Hanratty, who's 25 and from Derry Street. Hanratty appeared at Lisburn Magistrates Court, charged with stabbing the man in the town on Saturday. She was remanded in custody.
The jury at the inquest into the death of Noah Dono has seen a compilation of CCTV clips for a second time, showing the schoolboy cycling from his home to North Belfast, where his body was later found in a storm drain.
The 14-year-old's mother was too emotional to watch the footage as it was being shown to the jurors, and she left the courtroom, returning only when it was finished. Barbara McCann reports.
The extensive search for Noah Dono ended tragically in June 2020 when his body was discovered in a storm drain in North Belfast. A subsequent post-mortem confirmed the cause of death as drowning. The teenager's inquest, now entering its 5th week, opened with the jurors being shown a compilation of CCTV videos of Noah cycling through the city. The footage lasted more than 9 minutes. The jury was told that it was compiled from almost 4 hours of CCTV clips seized by the police as part of the investigation into the schoolboy's disappearance. The CCTV cameras had been attached to buildings across the city and showed Noah cycling from his home off the lower Armagh road and the route he had followed to North Belfast. At the beginning of the cycle, he was fully clothed, but on the last clip, he was seen cycling naked in the Northwood Road area. Noah's mother, Fiona, who has attended every day of the inquest, left the hearing before the footage was shown of her son's last known journey on his bike. She returned to her seat only when informed that the screening had finished. The police officer responsible for coordinating the collection of the CCTV footage said he had 20 officers at his disposal to search for it. Detective Sergeant Stephen Gardner said concerns about Noah's mental health were among the issues being considered by police officers during the early stages of the investigation, and he said the detection of CCTV footage was a priority in the inquiry. He told the inquest that the investigating officers wanted to gather information which might help to explain why Noah had parted with his backpack, phone and clothing. The inquest continues. Barbara McCann, UTV Live, Lagenside Courts.
The Education Minister says multi-billion-pound reforms announced to special education needs provision in England today appear similar to the direction of travel already being taken in Northern Ireland.
Paul Given also said politicians here should not have a closed mind over proposals for a new SEN model brought forward by the Education Authority last week. Paul Riley reports.
Big promises and a big investment in SEN provision in England. The government outlining its 10-year plan this morning.
We are investing billions of pounds in mainstream schools to make them fit for children with SEND, to adapt classrooms and corridors, to train teachers and teaching assistants.
But Education Minister Paul Given says the English reforms appear similar to the direction already being taken here.
Both include a greater emphasis on inclusion and early intervention, tailored support for the individual needs of the child, and specialist support delivered in locality-based terms. The proposals in England reflect several elements of our SEN transformation programme funded by the Public Sector Transformation Board, particularly the focus on earlier intervention and earlier stage investment.
Last week, the Education Authority published a model to reform support, facing an 85% increase in demand for SEN services over the past decade. The EA wants the system to be more needs-based, school-led and multidisciplinary, as well as professionalising the role of classroom assistants. But Sinn Féin says those plans are causing anxiety.
Can you set out what safeguards will be put in place to ensure that no child who currently receives one-to-one classroom support will have that provision reduced or reconfigured without a full formal assessment or the clear consent of their parents? Or do you think that their parents have closed minds too?
Well, Mr. Speaker, any child that requires one-to-one support will be guaranteed to retain one-to-one support. Where that is in the best interests of the child and the process identifies that as being in the interests of the child, they can have an absolute guarantee that they will have one-to-one provision. But presenting a position that there is an unending supply of one-to-one classroom assistance for all of our pupils is not based upon reality, and it's not conveyed by the principles that I speak to.
Paul Riley, UTV Live.
Well, still to come on the programme. Pushing for change as campaigners for the South West Acute Hospital bring their protest to the steps of Stormont.
Plus,
it's one of the most hotly anticipated matches of the Six Nations, England v Ireland. I have all the build-up from Twickenham.
And we have some mild conditions on the way this week, but we also have further outbreaks of rain. I'll have all of the details coming up shortly.
And it's time now to look at the headlines making tonight's ITV news at 6:30.
And here's Mary Nightingale.
Coming up on the programme, 2 people are arrested after the death of a man thought to have undergone cosmetic surgery. Police say Jordan Park, a well-known influencer who went by the name of the Lip King, was found unconscious at a London hotel. The government unveils £4 billion to help children with special educational needs. We look at how the money will be spent and what it will mean for pupils. And a hero's homecoming for Team GB's Winter Olympians, the UK's most successful squad yet. Would you join me for those stories and more at 6:30?
Around 200 campaigners protested outside Stormont earlier to demand the restoration of emergency general surgery services at the South West Acute Hospital in County Fermanagh.
The services were temporarily suspended more than 3 years ago. The Department of Health said any decision on a permanent change to the delivery of emergency general surgery at the hospital would require its approval. Here's our health correspondent, Deborah McAleese.
This is a community pushing back against its own health system. For more than 3 years, they've been fighting to restore emergency general surgery at their acute hospital. Today, they brought that campaign to Stormont.
The emergency surgery has to be where it is in Fermanagh. We have drawn up a map in which we can commission a viable, sustainable surgery for our hospital.
I'm here to assert my rights under the European Convention of Fundamental Rights, because we have a right to a medical service which is fit for all in Fermanagh.
The Western Health Trust suspended the service at SWA in December 2022, saying it could not safely staff a 24-hour rota. It said that independent data shows mortality rates have fallen since the revision to surgical services. But campaigners disagree and argue that the suspension is putting rural lives at risk.
We're determined that we're not second-class lives. Our geography can't be the reason we die, Deborah. That's it.
Campaigners were supported by a number of MLAs from several political parties, but the Health Minister was not among them.
And we need the Health Minister. Where is the Health Minister today?
This collapsed in 2022, it's now 2026, and the consultation was paused in August last year. So look, the people of Fermanagh and Tyrone have waited far too long, and we're not prepared to wait much longer.
People are showing through their voice today up at Stormont how they feel, and they want the Health Minister to answer the questions, to take some action in relation to this and keep emergency general surgery at our rural hospital.
The Department of Health said that any decision on a permanent change to the delivery of emergency general surgery will require its approval.
What do we want?
These campaigners are determined to shape that decision. Deborah McAleese, UTV Live, Stormont.
Sports next.
And what a weekend it was. Here's Will.
Ready for the road. John Mulholland Motors proudly sponsors UTV Sports Updates.
Good evening. Ulster being boosted by the return of 5 players from the Ireland camp for the ERC this weekend. Ireland have a down win in the Six Nations but are right back in the Championship after a record 42 points to 21 victory over England at Twickenham. Our sports correspondent Ruth Gorman was there.
Gibson Park held up, has to be a try, there it is, and Rob Balakoon with one of the moments of his life.
Twickenham turned green. Never before have Ireland scored as many points at the home of England rugby. Moment after moment of brilliance, Ireland are back.
It's a special day, it's a special day, 100% is to come here and perform like that. The lesson from Paris and us growing as a group is the key. It's about doing the things that you promised each other that you were going to do, and be free, get out of your own way, and just let go and play the game that's in front of you, and have no distractions. And we did that.
Andy Farrell said this try-saving tackle from Stuart McCluskey when the game was already won epitomised the team's performance and attitude.
I probably ran back and hoped more than expectation, and as I got closer I was like, oh flip, I'm actually going to get him. But yeah, I was absolutely cooked after it now. I was basically a body bag for the last 5 minutes, but thankfully the game was won. Probably I didn't expect it at the start of the day, if I'm being pretty honest. But it was great. I think we put a lot of stuff together, as I said, and what a day.
10 years on from your debut here, you've come a long way.
Probably didn't think I'd still be here in 10 years, no matter how well it went. And there was tough times in there, but yeah, I'm glad I stuck at it to get the experience days like this now.
20,000 Ireland fans were at the game in London for a day they'll never forget.
Come on, Ireland!
It was awesome, the whole thing. I never expected this. It's awesome! Unbelievable. I tell you what, Farrell got his game plan on today because he wasn't messing about, was he? We've done the job.
And it wasn't expected. That's the beauty of it.
That was amazing. We didn't expect that. Fantastic.
Absolutely fantastic. I came here thinking we were going to get duffed, and there we are.
You were sitting beside a lot of English fans there. What was that like?
It was tough, but they got used to us eventually.
It's a better win when you're next to them.
Yeah.
I mean, the crowd, the people who turned up in the stadium, it was immense. And I hope everyone at home is just as proud as well.
So what a turnaround from Ireland. After a disastrous opening weekend in Paris, they've blown England away in their own backyard. They have a week off now before the visit of Wales to Dublin, but this will go down as one of the great Irish rugby days. Ruth Gorman, UTV Live, Twickenham.
Well, in the Irish Premiership, there were further twists in the title race over the weekend. Larne, who last month were 10 points clear at the top, have seen their advantage cut to 2 points after they were beaten by Carrick on Friday night and Coleraine defeated Ballymena. And defending champions Linfield are now just a further 3 points behind after they defeated Glentoran in the Battle of the Big Two at Windsor Park on Saturday night.
We were written off a number of weeks ago, and probably rightly so. The players have a little bit more belief now. The table looks a little bit better than what it did a number of weeks ago, and we've got to buy into the end of the season drive where we've been before. We've been in the trenches. We understand what it takes.
Well, in Gaelic games, Donegal kept up their perfect start to their National League campaign, with the Division 1 leaders making it 4 wins from 4 with a 120-19 points victory over Armagh at the Athletic Grounds.
The application was very good, the energy levels were very good, a couple of maybe sloppy fouls there at stages, but there was a lot of fouls were blown as well. So we'll move on now. We'll try and we have a couple of injuries there, so we'll have to look at them and move on to next week.
I'd say it was a cracking game to watch. It was, but just again we're sort of shooting ourselves in the foot, just missing very scoreable chances, and it's very frustrating. But listen, that's the name of the game, is putting the ball over the bar in the net.
Well, Rory McIlroy couldn't quite overcome a 6-shot deficit in the final round of the Genesis Open, despite making shots like this, chipping in from the bunker on the 12th for birdie, and also sinking a 30-foot putt on the final hole. He finished 1 shot behind eventual winner Jacob Bridgman in Los Angeles.
Once I started to trust my reads a bit on the back nine, I went more with my first instinct. I putted a little bit better. I was reading too much into them, and then I was almost just giving them too much thought and not going with my first instinct, and that sort of cost me, I feel.
Well, sticking with golf, and Royal Portrush will host the 153rd R&A Amateur Championship next year. It'll be the 4th time the course has held the event, and it'll be staged between the 14th and 19th of June. Hosting an NFL match in Dublin last September boosted the Irish economy by €104.5 million, according to research from Fáilte Ireland, which the Irish government says was a 10.5 to 1 return on public investment in the event. Nearly 52,000 international visitors travelled to Ireland for the game between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Minnesota Vikings. That's all your sport. Have a great week.
Ready for the road. John Mulholland Motors proudly sponsors UTV Sports Updates.
Weather time now.
And Louise, it was very mild over the weekend. Is it due to stay like that?
For the next couple of days at least, we'll see temperatures peak on Wednesday. We're currently in a warm sector of air, so With the brisk blustery winds coming from a southerly direction, it will help to keep temperatures a few degrees above average. Now, so far, unfortunately, this winter we have had plenty of rain, and that is set to continue along with those milder temperatures through the week. We have plenty of rainfall on the way. We've currently had 401 millimetres of rain so far this winter. That's 123% of the average. Things look set to turn wet and windy on Thursday. We have to keep an eye on a low pressure system pushing in from the northwest. But for the meantime, we do have some slightly milder conditions on the way. Here's the forecast.
When it's unpredictable outside, you can rely on the comforts of home. UTV weather, sponsored by the Grande Rona R290 heat pump.
So we have quite a mild week to come, temperatures above average for this time of year, but once again we have plenty of rain in the forecast over the next couple of days. We may see a few glimmers of sunshine at times too once we have any breaks in the cloud, but with low pressure dominating our weather, we have plenty of cloud pushing through on frontal systems from the west over the next few days, further outbreaks of rain at times and quite brisk blustery winds, but it will remain mild, those winds coming from a southerly direction. Rain tonight should clear northwards as we move through the early hours. Quite a lot of cloud around, quite a murky end tonight, especially over the hills. Largely dry as we head towards dawn and quite mild, temperatures holding up at 8 or 9 degrees Celsius. But the winds will remain fairly blustery, especially across eastern areas. So cloudy start tomorrow morning. Where we have any breaks in the cloud, we'll see a few glimmers of sunshine into the afternoon tomorrow. It's a largely dry day. Temperatures holding up around 11 or 12 degrees Celsius. But tomorrow evening, we have some rain starting to edge in across western areas. Across the rest of Ireland, it's a largely dry and cloudy day. A few glimmers of sunshine here and there with some rain pushing in across the southwest. Moderate to fresh southerly winds with highs of 12, possibly 13 degrees Celsius. We expect the peak of the temperatures this week on Wednesday, highs of around 12 or 13 degrees Celsius, slowly starting to trend down as we head towards the weekend. Quite blustery on Thursday and Friday as well, with sunny spells and scattered showers at times. You can expect some of the showers to become quite heavy on Thursday. That is the very latest. Have a lovely evening. Bye-bye for now.
UTV weather, sponsored by the Grande Rona R290 heat pump.
And just before we go, let me remind you that this evening our new series, Homemade, looks at some expert engineering here in Northern Ireland, from 3D printing to aviation. You can watch it at 7:30.
Out of the next local bulletin at 10:30, the ITV News continues next.
But from Paul and me and the rest of the UTV News team, have a very good evening.
Good evening.